This morning's video, we're starting off just doing a little bit of work on the floor. Let's put the light on so I can see things a bit better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put some of that blue foam camping mat down. It's not the greatest stuff in the world, but the idea with that is it's going to keep everything raised up just a little bit off the floor, so if we ever get a bit of a leak in here, hopefully the water will go under the blue matting and out, rather than wetting everything that's in the trailer. So I'm just going to fill in that end piece this morning. Just chop up some of the mats I've got. So at least if we do get a little bit of a leak in there at any stage, and I'm bearing in mind I haven't tested the pipes yet, so I'm going to do that within the next few days, I guess. But if we ever do get a leak in there anytime later on, that should just be enough to keep the gear we're carrying off the floor, and hopefully the water will find its way out without soaking everything that's in the trailer. Well, the job's left to do now is mostly checking things. I've still got the Anderson plug to put on the power board here. Then we've got to check that the water tanks are not leaking. And we'll probably be ready for at least our first little test trip, although we are right in the middle of winter at the moment, so I don't see that happening until spring comes along and the weather warms up a little bit. So I don't fancy camping in the freezing cold. Not my thing, and the girls don't like it much either. So I don't think that's on the cards just yet. But anyway, that's pretty well what I wanted for the first stage of the build. Now later on, of course, is going to come solar panels on top. I'm going to put awnings on each side, and then outside lighting all switched back to here. And by the time that's all done and we've got a boat rack on top, that should be just about it, but that's some way off yet, so might be waiting quite some time for those videos. So it's finally time to test how well the seals are working on these tanks. So a bit of a jerry rig system at the moment. Just pulled the quarter pump in a box I made some time ago for the coaster. That's our backup pump if everything else goes wrong. And a very strange method of pumping water in, I know, but it's not going to be the way it's done when it's all sorted out. It's got the hose sitting up there coming down into the filler, and just pumping it out of a 20 litre. So once we've got 20 litres in there, that should be enough for all the bottom seals to get a bit of a test, and if there is a leak, we should know fairly quickly. So you have your wire prepared and ready to dip in. You load your solder into the top, put it into a set of helping hands, and you use a gas torch to heat it up. You give it quite a while to solidify to make sure that it's going to set properly, and you burn your fingers getting it out. I usually use a different blowtorch to this, but the other one's somewhere, and I don't know where it is at the moment. It's got a much finer flame on it. This one works, but the other one's a lot better. It's more directional, or it's more concentrated, I guess the word is. Okay. And there you have it. That's how we put on our Anderson plug internal connectors, I guess the word is. And they've always worked pretty well. You can't pull those off. So, although I'm aware that there's different ways of doing it, this way seems to work pretty effectively. It's a matter of just popping the connectors into the casing, making sure that you put the red wire into the positive, black wire into the negative. And that's all there is to it. Very simple way of putting together an Anderson plug, and it works really well. And the other thing I need to do is I've got a little solar panel. It's only a temporary thing. This is actually the one I used for the kayak to charge up the battery on that. And it's actually the kayak battery I've got in here at the moment. It's only a 10 watt, but it's going to do as just a temporary measure while I'm working on the trailer to keep the batteries charged up. It's got a El Cheapo regulator. This was actually free. The whole thing was free with another solar panel I bought, so I don't expect too much from it. But it will at least keep the battery topped up while I'm working on it. I certainly won't be using something this tiny when we go away. But this will do for now. All I've got to do, I've got one battery end on here already that's set up for the kayak. The other end is a bit different, so I just have to get another little bit of wire and put a ring connector on here, and once that's done I can hook that up and just leave it sitting out there to charge up the battery while I'm not using it. Okay, so all I did with that is just make a very short adapter wire with the bullet end and a battery connector on the other end, so I can just pop that on, and that then becomes the connection for the solar panel. Just temporary, as I say, so I'll go and plug that in, and that will at least start to get the battery back up. I've been using it for a few days for lighting now, and it's been used to fill the tanks for testing the leaks, and I'll be going out this morning to have a look at that and see how many leaks I've got in the pipes. I guarantee there's going to be at least one. Well, now outside, and there is the telltale signs of what I expected. Definitely a leak in one of the pipes, and so I'll look and see which one needs the attention. Okay, that one over there is fine. So obviously this one has the connection here, so I'll wait for that to dry out a bit, and definitely going to have to silicone that right up, I guess, by the looks of it. Do not want to have these tanks leaking, not just because of the inconvenience of the wetness, but the loss of water. You can't afford that when you're out camping. Just putting our usual shrink wrap on. Keeps the cable nice, hopefully. Helps stop it from coming apart. And the other end just goes straight through the negative terminal. Anderson plug putting in. Okay, so that's the Anderson plug done. Next job will be to grab the goodies I got from the op shop yesterday and see where we're going to put those. Okay, so this is the little bundle of goodies we picked up yesterday at the op shops, and just about to try and work out what I'm going to do with this. All useful looking things, and definitely will be able to make use of some of it, hopefully all of it. So a little $5 rack of shelves there, I'm sure will prove to be useful. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put it yet. I'll just leave it freestanding there for the moment until I work out what to do with it. So I picked up a set of hooks. They look pretty useful for something, not sure what yet. But too useful to pass up, and that was $2 in the op shop. Looks brand new too. It's amazing how much stuff you get in there that's new that you would pay an arm and a leg for if you bought it at a ordinary retail outlet. Nice quick little job and some useful hooks. Okay, that's better. That's actually a shower caddy that we picked up also in the up shop. Very useful little thing to put some bits and pieces in on the door. And we've got a bigger one to go on the other side there, not a shower caddy but something similar, and we'll see how we can fix that on now. Now the other one's going up on this side of the door, much bigger set of shelves, I guess you'd call them. That was also $5. Now just before I put that in place, I just have to make sure that we can close the door, so let's quickly close that up and see what happens. Nope, that fits rather nicely. No problem at all with that. So that's where that shelf is going to go. Okay, so I've got a little switch here that I'm putting on. That's just going to be a light switch, just a straight on off. That way I won't have to use the dimmer all the time. We'll just hook that up along the top here. I think we'll make this semi-permanent. We'll find some way of making sure the light doesn't fall off, and at least have this internal one as a semi-permanent light. So that works pretty well. Just going to put a holder across there just to keep it in place, and hopefully that will be okay. Run the wire up along the top there and then up the bar, I guess. We'll just see how that goes. So I get to finish that little job off. One more thing out of the way. So after thinking about it a bit more, I decided, yeah, we'll make this one permanent. I took out the fader switch, no need for it actually, because with the on off, that's all you need for inside here. So all I'm doing now is putting some cable holders down along there. We'll tidy that up with some zip ties afterwards. And the power board, I guess for now, is done. I've still got to get a proper connector with some USB sockets. I decided I would use the cigarette light adapter from the Audi lights. I've got it anyway and I'm probably not going to use it for anything else, so all I've got to do is go grab some zip ties in a minute and then tidy this up. But I'll just finish off by getting this cable secured, and yeah, step by step we're getting pretty close now. So one job I've got to finish off is to reduce the appearance of the trailer to a porcupine, because as these screws have come through, of course, they stick out the outside, and we really don't want that sitting there. So I've got to get the angle grinder out, and we'll be nipping all the ends of those off, and with the stubs that stick out, after that I just put a gob of silicone on the top of it, and then if you happen to brush against it, it's not going to start pulling bits of your skin away. Did that with the trailer on the coaster, which you can see over there, and they don't seem to shift at all, they don't seem to come loose, so we'll do the same thing here. So it's starting to look like a functional trailer at last. A couple of jobs I've got to finish inside, tidy up those wires, fix the leak in the connection to that tank, which I'm hoping is not going to be too much of a nightmare. I may just change the end on that and go with a plastic one instead of a metal one. The metal ones are sometimes a bit of a pain, so we'll see if that makes any difference. And well, once that's done, we fill the tanks up with water and let it sit for a while. It's looking, yeah, fairly usable at the moment. Those wires need to tidy, of course. I have to think a little bit more about how I'm going to fill the water, because when I tried that the other day it was a bit of a nightmare, so I've got to find some easier way of doing that. And yeah, we're getting close. Starting to look useful now. Oh, and the other job I forgot about is I have to take those straps off and just put some padding on the end there. So just about to do that now. That'll be the very next thing we get stuck into. Right, well, there wasn't much point in filming that. It was just a matter of taking the metal screws out, putting the padding in and replacing them, which I've now done on both sides. Also replaced that metal hose fixture. Hopefully that will result in a bit more leak-proof connection. I've now got to wait for this to dry out, and once it's dry we'll drop another 20 litres in there and see how we go. There's a very temporary solar system, this little tiny 10-watt panel, and that will feed the battery when I'm not using it, not working on the thing, and just help top up the battery system. Now hopefully once the floor has dried out, I'll just get an old towel and wipe most of that moisture off, and I'll be able to actually stack in some of the camping gear, see how it goes. Interesting to see how it fits in. I haven't got a clue where I'm going to put what at the moment. But yeah, we are almost at the end of stage 1. Well, I guess that's it for stage 1 of the build. 6 parts to this one. It'll be a little while yet before I get into stage 2, which is going to be more of a decent solar system, awnings, external lights, but for now I have to put all that on hold until we can save up a bit more money and start the next stage of the work. So I hope you've enjoyed this first part of the trailer build, and hope you stick around for stage 2. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Cheers for now.